Alright everybody, welcome back to the channel. All that stuff, everybody knows how it all works. But as you've seen by the title, we're going to talk about another Trump supporter murdered. And we say another because it ain't the first, and it isn't going to be the last. Now, it's been an interesting conversation amongst those in my circle, people that I talk to. And I find it disheartening to find that so many people believe that the left are these bumbling soy boys. And I kept having to make the same argument over and over to these guys. That no matter how much you believe in being a threeper, that somehow you got a lock on the militias. The right are the only ones with militias. The writer's the only one training. You know, oh, the right will win so quickly because, you know, look at these guys. And now there's a prime example of everything I've been saying. This man murdered in Denver. A Trump supporter. He was out there showing his support for law enforcement, which, you know, I have great respect for law enforcement, doing the job that nobody else wants to fucking do. And I've said it before, there's no such thing as a bad cop. There's cops that's gone bad. There's cops that are disgruntled, disillusioned, you know. When you run out the good cops, you get what's left over. And if you want to call them the bad cops, well then, by all means, you do so. But the argument still stands very clear with that. You run out the bad cops, then you get lower class cops. And those are, you know, whatever they are. You've lowered the bar. It's like the military. It's like arguing the points of why does the military hand down and give to law enforcement you know, things like the Bearcat and, you know, hand out to SWAT and all these things. Well, that's because you could go back in the timeline of law enforcement and see, like the Miami-Dade shootout, the North Hollywood shootout. There's several others. I can't remember the one video of the guy that called for the cops to get there. He was in a army poncho. And he waited for the cops to get there. And the whole video, all the surveillance video that they got, that they put out there, was that he was ex-military. Laying in wait for the cops. A gang member. And they talked about how he was slicing the pie. How he was setting up his ambushes. And how professional he was. At that time, that's when law enforcement had to step up their game. Better tactics, better weapons. And I don't understand how people don't see the evolution of that. I've made these arguments, and I have friends that help with these arguments. The military's been infiltrated by gang members and people that had nefarious things in their heart and their mind, and they went into the military to get trained. So when they got back out on the streets, they could fight the fight. This has been a thing that's been going on since the 70s, really ramped up in the 80s and the 90s. And I got military friends that absolutely can tell you that they knew gang members while they were in the military. So now you're getting those same people infiltrating law enforcement. So when people say, well, why is certain cities not having certain law enforcement doing certain things? Because they're on the side of these people. They believe it. Just like this uncredited security guard. Now people go, well, supposedly security guard. No, he was a security guard. He was hired by Pinkerton. He was vetted by Pinkerton. And hired by Channel 9 News in Denver. He wasn't some fucking guy that walked in off the street and they said, oh, you'll do. Here, you got a gun? No. So it really perplexes me at times when people have this thing about, well, the left will be defeated so quickly. The left are a bunch of bumbling soy boys. You better fucking think that. And this guy here is prime example. And every time that I had these conversations throughout the last 4 days, I keep bringing up a single picture. But you put that picture in sequence with the other pictures, and that's where, but that's one single picture is of the firearm. He has a master grip. He has a tricked out Glock. Magwell, flat trigger, RMR, front cut slide serrations, suppressor height, sights, night sights. So that's a professional gun. Even I don't have a gun like that. I don't want one. That's why I don't have one. It's not that I couldn't have one if I want. I have no use for it. It'd be cool. You know, they're cool guns. But go back and take a look at that picture of him holding that gun out, as that many people have said. Whoever the photographer was, and he was clicking it as fast as he could. His camera was just click, 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 click. You can see the moment of the shot. You can see the slide starting to come out. But take a real good look at that picture. Take a real good look at how he's gripping the gun. Take a real good look at the gun. Like I said, magwell, stippling, you know, nice slide on it, RMR, suppressor height sights, night sights, master grip. This was a professional. Now we can talk about his affiliation with BLM, his Antifa support. He was a BLM activist, an anti-Trumper, an anti-Trump supporter guy. He hated Trump and hated their supporters. He was straight up affiliated with BLM. And he supported Antifa. And he was a fucking professional. So let all that kind of marinate in your mind. Now, here comes how you know he was a professional. What they call a sub draw to fire. And I kept looking at it. I'm like, this fucking dude was a professional. He was trained. I don't care how far fucking left you think he is or whatever it is that you got in your mind. Understand, this man was professionally trained. Sub-draw to shot in the middle of the man's face. As you look at the pictures going click, 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 as fast as that camera was clicking, he drew and fired. And what is considered a sub-draw to fire, which is fast. The man was fast. Which tells you everything you need to know. He was professionally trained. So for all of you out there thinking that these fucking lefties are just a bunch of fucking LARPing retards, everything I've been saying about these fucking guys are coming to fruition. They are professionally trained. How many ex-military men, disgruntled, or just by their very indoctrination? Everybody thinks that everybody in the military is these bleed red, rah rah rah, sis boom bah, America, America, America. And I'm here to tell you, fucking big lion's share of them are not. They are Democrats to the bone, lefty libtards, whatever you want to call them. All the indignant names you can think of. But make no fucking mistake, some of these men are professionally trained. They're in the law enforcement, they're in the military, they're in the guard. They've been in combat, they've come back here, and they're training. Now, I've talked about the John Brown Gun Club. These guys have, everybody talks about, oh, look at all the bricks that were delivered. There was no bricks that were fucking delivered. Every one of them major cities, I delivered those bricks. I can't say for sure that exact pile, but I've delivered bricks all over the fucking country to these major cities. They're all building. Well, they were till they started getting them burnt down, but nobody, do you understand the machine? Do you see these piles of bricks with no pallets under them? The machine it takes to pick up that whole fucking pile and set it down? Unless you been in that industry or work in these yards, you don't know how that, they don't ship that stuff on pallets. Because pallets are weight. How do you ship more bricks for the same price? You cut weight. How do you cut weight? You cut out them big fucking pallets. The machine that it takes to put them on the truck. But, you know, that aside, everybody talks about the money, money, money. Money, money, money. You want to say the fucking Nazi collaborator, you know, that goes, his initials GS. You want to put him at the top of the list as the guy who's putting the money out there. Look at all the money that BLM has raised. Fucking secret funds of Antifa. What do you think they're doing with this money? They're professionally training each other. And this man here just gave out the biggest secret of it all. Professionally trained assassin. His family's probably going to be okay because they're going to get a check because he did exactly what they were there to do. And understand that the psychological war, everybody likes to talk about psyops, and I could probably get into that a little bit with Corona crud. And I had a long conversation over half a bottle of Teeling. Whew. And the man made some great fucking points. Because it's funny how that was taking off, and then as soon as people started questioning and going out and bucking against the system, the riots started. They were picking out stories that were months old. Talk about the jogger. Months old. And they stoked that. And the arguments that he made were fucking... And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I rail against it. I made a promise years ago. You can't fucking get me to sign on to any of that shit. It made me question, did I do it again? I may have. Unknowingly, just by my own prejudices and biases. Did I fall into it? Possibly. Are we going to dismiss 200,000? But I'm not sure all 200,000 are 100% related. we already have evidence of people, I'm sure there's going to be a few deer hunters that shot themselves with their crossbows or fucking fell out of a tree. They're going to be classified as fucking COVID deaths. I told my wife, don't let them classify me as a COVID death if I fall out for something. If somebody shoots me walking through the fucking woods, don't, But he made great fucking points on this. But if that's a video you guys want to hear me talk about, I'll tell you about our long drawn out drunken conversation. But I'd like to stick to this guy here. They just tipped a hand that everybody should be taking notice of. Professional gunman. That man had a draw to fire. Was what is known to some of us as what they call a Gucci Glock. He had a Gucci gun. This gun was tricked out, man. That ain't no cheap fucking gun. But he was fast and he was accurate. Which is well trained. And we know that he was a far left activist. So how many more are out there just like this man? Now, to the man that died, and I'm sure the reason that he didn't go armed is because he never put in his mind that he was going to be murdered by a professional assassin. Nowhere in his mind. He was a tough guy. I make no mistake. That 49-year-old man was a tough guy. Kudos. I hope he has a seat at the fucking table with all of our brothers in Valhalla. He was a tough guy. He wasn't taking no shit. He went there to play with his fists. But when he left the house that day, never did he once did it cross his mind that he was going to be murdered. I'm pretty sure he had it in his mind, yeah, we're going to do some, have a good, nice old Donnybrook. Get it on. I ain't afraid of this shit. I've been here before. Bars. Fucking parties. Whatever. Hats off to the man. He was a tough guy. The kind of tough guy that everybody could probably get along with. Because he was only tough when he had to be. And it's a shame that that man at 49 years old lost his life. To a professional hater. A professional killer. A trained professional killer. But all of you should take notice of that. I'm surprised how many people are just letting that fucking... They're not even thinking of that. Oh, he's this and oh, he's that. And it's like, yeah, he was. But did you notice his gun? Well, what about his gun? Did you see how fast he drew and shot? Accurately. Now, it wasn't like he was shooting 100 yards, 50 yards, 25 yards. It was pretty much point blank. But drew, master grip, and fired in a draw to fire. That's tells you everything you need to know, man. Make no mistake that this isn't, he's not the first, and he's not going to be the last. The closer that we get to this, the more this is going to ramp up. And no matter who wins, this isn't going to stop, man. Everybody thinks, well, if they win, this might stop. Man, no, it's not. That's what were they saying not too long ago, so many years back? The Well, we won, so this is a mandate. The people have spoken. They mandate. This is a mandate for us to do this. God. Surprised how many people forget about that shit. If he wins, they're not going to stop. They haven't stopped in 4 years. What makes you think 4 more years of Trump, they're going to fucking stop? This is, but people talk about civil war, and I've been talking about civil war for years. I literally have people that have come up to me like, dude, you fucking called this fucking 5, 6, 7 years ago. I'm like, yeah, you can see it coming. The black on white fucking crime. All the DAs that they were putting into fucking place. All the district representatives. There used to be a guy on YouTube. I loved his videos. They chased him off. They chased him off bad. The dude was a professional. He was a brain. Frame Game Radio. He was a Jew. And he talked about the Jewish connection. Now, I'm not going to get into the Jewish question or, oh, the Jews this and the Jews that. Okay. Do you know there's just as many right-wing Jews as there... Well, there's not as many, but there's right-wing Jews. Are those bad Jews? Well, that's like saying, all blacks. Well, that's dumb too. We know for a fact that it isn't all. And the same goes for the Jews. I don't believe all of them are, we're going to destroy America. But I believe that the left-wing Jews are. And he was pointing them out bad. Everybody remembers the Starbucks in, I believe it was Philadelphia? Frame Game Radio laid that out really well. There was a picture of all of them after it was all being said and done, of all the people involved in that, inside that Starbucks. And if you go look at that picture, go pick it up and look at it, if you can find it. And look how many white faces in there. Those are all liberal Jewish activists. And he pointed them out, laid it out fucking quite clear. I miss that guy. That guy was smart, man. He would be a guy to hear his analysis, because they chased him off a couple years ago. So, like I said, I'm not going to get into the Jewy Jews or all that bullshit. That's a farce to say that they all believe one thing or another. No. There's factions like any other factions. There's so many factions of the fucking right wing that's why there's no cohesion like the fucking left. The reason that the left are winning the way they're winning is because of cohesion. They're covering each other's ass. Out here between the conservatives and the Republicans, there's too much infighting. I don't agree with all of them. They don't agree with me. They call me names. I call them names. Here we go around the fucking maypole. But they've been subverting this shit for years. They've been taking over as much as they possibly can. What they could take over. So, if you don't think that these people are fucking organized, they don't have their shit together, that they understand how American politics works, how the American mind works, how to make one thing look like another and activate these people, demoralize these people, then you're out of the loop. But we're getting ready to come to a heartache. And I believe that. And I've been talking about this for years and years. And not because, let's get it on. No, let's not get it on. Just like the Corona crud. I believe if it had been as real as they were saying it was, all this shit would have been put off so far in the back burner, it got too fucking hot to ever pull it up. Too many people would have died. There chaos and mayhem as far as the Black Death and how it takes its toll. And like I said, that kind of stuff puts people's... It changes your mental perspective. You know, when death is knocking at your door, it changes how you look at it. It's like some of the smartest dudes I know, as far as when it comes to war and military and that kind of stuff, they all say the same thing, man. Everybody fucking acting like this is a thing. I have no idea. And I believe it. Till you've had the horror of it all in your face, when it's no longer fighting on the streets of Portland and they're fighting in your backyard. It changes it. It goes from, wah, ha, ha, look at those dummies, to, oh, fuck. What do we do now? What do we do? What do we do? But I was just fascinated by how many days of having conversations that somehow these are liberal libtards and they're soy boys. This is gonna, if they really want to fight, this will be over in a fucking minute. And I'm like, man, this dude is a fucking poster boy for what you don't know, what you have yet to have seen. Now it's in the open. And I want to talk about that. These guys showed their fucking hand. They have professional fighters. So all you fucking 3% fucking LARPers that want to go to the state capitals and stand there in your kits and, you know, wave your guns around going, liberty or death, liberty or death. You might want to start pulling back on that a little bit. Somebody's training these men. They're training them, men, women. So how many of them being trained in explosives? 3 and 4 man fire teams. And if you don't think that they have professional fucking fighters, this is your wake-up call. That man drew and fired as fast as the camera could take a fucking picture. That should be fucking sobering. So I wonder how many of you now are just sitting there going, man, that's a fucking thing. Here's to you for treating new neighbors like old friends and for helping care for your community. Here's to those who come together to make our country a happier home for all. Ashley Homeschool. This is home. What's the next step? Enjoy the music. Well, I guess we're going to have to wait for them. They're the ones making all the moves. Hopefully this tells everybody exactly what I've been saying. Stay out of this. Why are you going to these fucking rallies? Well, it's my right. They can't stop me. Hell, you're right. They can't stop you. You're right. It is your right. But are you prepared? Because apparently they are. Think about that for a moment. They're fucking prepared. They're trained. They're ready. They have their minds ready. He did it without even a thought. They are prepared to do whatever they have to do, including murder. How much money do you think's in his fucking books? His accounts. He's got a lawyer. I bet he's got a good lawyer. I bet he ain't got no fucking public defender. They are prepared for this. Straight up prepared for this. They've been planning this for years. That's why I've talked about it. I can see it. No matter how many fucking times people told me I was crazy. Oh, Civil War, you talk about it like you want it. I'm like, it's fucking writing on the wall, man. But this isn't going to stop. There is no end to this. There is no stopping it. It's just begun. Oh, well, it's been going for 6 months. Oh, well, it isn't even ramped up yet. Think about it. They haven't even ramped this up yet. Are you people prepared for this? Do you understand what's coming? Most of us just want to get back to fucking normal. Whatever fucking normal is, but, you know, some sense of fucking normality. But instead, we get a continuance of this. So, who's going to be the next one that we're going to hear about? That what rally or, you know, counter protest or... I don't know. I just knew I had to talk about it because I had too many guys that were talking stupid bullshit. And after some of the conversations that I had, they're sitting there scratching their head going, well, okay, that's a different perspective on it. I didn't think about looking at the gun. I didn't think about how fast he drew. I'm like, okay. These are more telling than the murder itself. The murder itself is an act. How they got to the murder, that's the tell. Understand that that's like everybody, oh, the Pinkertons. The fucking Pinkertons have been on the fucking left. It was formed by fucking Democrats. Think about that for a fucking moment. Go back in Pinkerton history. Who were they chasing down? The kind of people... They are a political activist themselves. Most of them were criminals. The Pinkertons started out as a criminal agency. Of course, somebody who likes cowboy history, you know, how the West was won and all that. There's certain things. It's like certain law enforcement agencies that turned private agencies. So the Pinkertons knew who they were sending in there. They knew everything they needed to know. And so did Channel 9 News. They knew that you're just going to turn... Well, just send me somebody. I don't care. Well, you're going to let somebody just come in there that you don't fucking know? No. Everybody knew what this was about. And they got the story that they wanted. This was a straight up left-wing assassination of a Trump supporter. And that's exactly what they got. The fucking guy who was instigating it all. Walking away going, yeah, another Trump white supremacist Nazi got it in the dome. Ha ha ha. We got him. It was all by fucking design. You see how it played out. But this ain't the end of it. But I hope some of you take away the understanding that these just ain't fucking left-wing soy boys. These ain't the Antifa Portland guys. This is the paramilitary wing, left-wing operators. The ones that are in the more middle and upper echelon, that are in there in their security roles, in their law enforcement roles. Understand that these DAs and some of these police chiefs, you understand they have access to all these databases. That is when everybody goes, well, how are they networking? How are they getting their information? How do they know what they know? Well, they put these people in fucking key positions. You know, I can talk about whether it be motorcycle clubs have been doing it forever too. Who do you think that they fucking learned it from? The Weather Underground and all these other subversives from the 60s and the 70s. They've been doing this for a long time. And now they're tipping their hands. This is the professional fighters. You got a close-up look at one of their professional fighters. So, unscrew your head from your ass and start putting it in your mind that the low-level street fighters have already had their time in the fucking play yard. Now it's you watch and see the professional fighters are start stepping up. If you don't believe that you are in a war, that don't matter, because they believe they're in a war. And that's what you need to understand. They don't care what you think. They think they're in a war with you. They think they're in a war with everybody that they consider right of them. They are in a war with. And this is going to get worse before it gets better. But it just dumbfounds me how many of these fucking guys I know are sitting there dismissing some of this. Now, a few of them have perked their eyes up since I started talking about this. I'm like, there you go. There he is. There's the guy that you've been waiting on. There's your professional fighter. These are the guys that are out training all the time. Unlimited access to resources. Training resources. Traveling all over the country, training each other. Just like professional gun trainers do. You can go anywhere and go, oh, hey, come to my class, blah, blah, blah. Well, what do you think they're doing? They're holding the same kind of courses, same kind of classes for themselves. So, hopefully this is a wake-up call for all of you. This shit is real. So, as they say, I'm going to bid you adieu. I rode this horse as far as I care to. But, I still have to ask the question, are you awake yet? Are you awake yet? But I still got some more videos on the docket here, so I'll try to pump out some more. You know, like I said, I'm just getting to a point where I don't really care. But this kind of shit right here, this kind of story, you know, the black on white crime, okay, every fucking day. Just pick a fucking town, any town. Yeah, it ain't major cities anymore. It's secondary. It's hamlets. It's small town. It's everywhere. And the more you talk about it, the more people look at you like, oh, well, you know, it is. Shut up. You don't want to fucking talk about it. You don't want to deal with it. You're just going to sit there and put your hands in your fucking pocket and go, well, you know, they ain't here at my house yet. Well, they're down the fucking street, asshole. How much longer before they get here? You know? Whatever. Whatever. So, it just... I don't know. You guys got something you want me to talk about? Fucking put a comment down there and say, hey, Ben, what's your thoughts on this? I'll give it a fucking whirl. Because I've just run it out of fucking gas on this same old bullshit. It isn't going to end. But this kind of stuff right here, this is important. You need to know this. The professional fighters are now coming out of the shadows. And you're going to start to see more of them. And it's going to be harder for you to pick them out. So, be well. Take care. Watch your back. Mind your own business. And keep your fucking eyes open. Because, but, alright, man. We beat this one down, so till the next one.